What's up, folks? Breaking news right now. This is Nerd Report. A plane has crashed in Washington. We're going to get to the bottom of it, see what's going on here. Just got notified about this. There seems to be casualties. So let's get some details here as I pull up the video, allegedly from Washington. Let's see what's going on. Welcome, everyone. 2025 sucks, right? All right. So this adds to the weirdness happening now. No, I don't think this is terrorists or anything. Let's not jump to conclusions, guys. Oh, okay. What's up? What's up, DJ Lab? Yeah. I don't want to I'm not going to jump to conclusions, man. Let's get facts. Let's get facts. Listen, folks. The world's already crazy. You don't need to add fake news to it. All right? It was an accident. As far as we can tell, it's an accident. It could be something else. I mean, but we don't want to jump to it is something else, right? Let the expert investigate. Yeah, I don't know, Nikolai. I'm not accusing anybody of anything. As far as I could tell, this is an accident. So let's see what else is going on. Let me look and see if I see any other news. Once again, what you're looking at is the aftermath of a collision that happened. Washington, D.C. plane crash. Regional jet collided with helicopter midair. This is a jet versus helicopter situation. Helicopters are very difficult to survive. Doubt anyone made it through that one. Helicopters, once you go down, man, you're down. Okay, we're getting news that this was a military helicopter. Hold on, let's see. Military helicopter collides with regional jet near Washington's. This is a military helicopter. Plane crashes into Black Hawk helicopter in D.C. Officials scramble to find survivors. Okay. Now we have confirmation. According to Fox News, this was actually a military Black Hawk. So we can put that one. We can put that one to rest. Sometimes, yeah, we're trying to go with the facts. I mean, look, sometimes the facts, oh my God, sometimes people know stuff and they know, and it happens to be true, but I just need confirmation. Yeah, they're calling it a Black Hawk, but according to the first article I read, they did not say Black Hawk. They said a helicopter, unless I read it and I didn't pay attention. It's always in the water, right? Fox is pretty good, man. I mean, if it's a black, it depends what they say. I mean, you know, if they're saying it's a Black Hawk, it's got to be a Black Hawk helicopter. I mean, that could easily be disproven, you know? RFK was on the way to DC. Is there a chance he could be transported on that Black Hawk? I hope not. I like RFK. Canadian News is reporting it's a Black Hawk. Okay. Okay, so yeah, exactly. Just got here. What happened now? Black Hawk has collided with a civilian airplane in I'll put this on for a while. Give me a second, folks. I got more info for you. Welcome.
In this, the lower that plane was to the water, the better
you guys hear this or
the
no?
survivable opportunity is for the passengers on board. With that, John Scott, I'm not sure
The audio
if you
okay?
saw that, but it looks like you had the plane, the CRJ-700 twin, coming down, and it appears that
Come
the
on, DJ
helicopter might have
Lab.
been going up. Now, again, that's not clear because the video is not very clear, but that looks like kind of the scenario that we're looking at. What do you think?
Yeah, that is what it looks like to me, Trace. It looks like the helicopter was ascending. It
Helicopter
normally,
ascending.
you know, it would be
Okay, folks. Trigger warning. This is for the sake of news coverage. This is going to be everywhere. Trigger warning. The collision's about to be shown on screen. It's kind of like out of my control at this point because I do want to get the news to you. I feel that we're all adults here, right? We're all adults here. All right. Do we agree? And yeah, so I mean, we deserve to look at what's happening here so we could make our own conclusions and stuff. So what you're going to watch right now is probably the collision, and we deserve to see what happened. So here you go.
easy for the pilots of the CRJ.
That light on the bottom was it?
Helicopter below them. That's always, there's a saying in aviation that you'll never see the aircraft that hits you because there are always blind spots in every plane. I am a little surprised that the helicopter apparently did not see that jetliner because,
Yeah, well, I mean, this plot thickens. The helicopter should have seen the jetliner, right?
The wing lights, the strobe lights, everything is flashing, and the helicopters. I've flown in a Black Hawk. Haven't flown one, but I've flown in one, and they have pretty good visibility out the front windows. So I'm. This needs to be investigated, of course, and it will be. Will we get the truth? Who knows? But it is 2025, right, folks? 2025 is crazy. Don't forget, this is Nerd Report, folks. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. I see a lot of you in here. We're going to be breaking the news, probably talking about this for a while and breaking it down, see what's going on. DEI hire? I don't think so. Come on. I'm flabbergasted. It's very sad.
And this is the video. We're zooming in on this now. We've got as close as we can get to this. The video again, you can see right there. Right there is the explosion, and it's hard. It looks like a plane, John Scott, is taking off, and it looks like when that plane takes off, it appears is that the helicopter or whatever hit the helicopter.
Now you could bet that there's more video of this, and there's video that's really close to this, like. This is nothing. This is from far away. There's probably like people with their cameras out. They got better footage in there than this.
Helicopter was going up as the plane was coming down. So is it a fair assessment to say in a Black Hawk helicopter that the ceiling is as blind as the downside of the helicopter, because they would be going up and the plane would be coming down, where the plane could not see the helicopter, but the helicopter could.
Okay. So Vicelar says, how could you dismiss the possibility of DEI with the level of incompetence we've been witnessing lately? Good point. And I'll take that into consideration personally. But I think we'll know by tomorrow. And boy, will we be calling that out. As a Hispanic man, I've been a victim of DEI because I'm not DEI enough. Diverse enough. So I want to say that story. I want to share that with you all when the time comes. I've been pushed aside from things because they were looking for a quota, and even though I had the merit, no one looked at me, and it really bothered me as someone who worked hard to get to where I'm at, that I was pushed aside, and I'm Hispanic. So I'll talk about that later, but we will call out if there's stupidity here for sure. That's what Nerd Report is.
Potentially see the plane.
Right. Again, the view through the windscreen of the helicopter should have allowed those pilots to see it. Now, I have a nephew who flies Blackhawks, and very often they fly with the night vision goggles on and so forth, and vision can be restricted. But in this case, they're flying around suburban Washington D.C., and in fact, that chopper base that I believe it was Chad Pergram was talking about is the one that flies around the Secretary of Defense and the Army Secretary. I mean, that's that's part of their bailiwick. So, these are going to be experienced pilots, and they're not necessarily going to be just training at random at night over.
Maybe there is something off here. We're going to be finding out. The plot's thickening.
Washington D.C. They would do that out somewhere in a much more rural area. So the fact that they did not see that jet coming is just astounding to me. The jet is clearly on final approach. He's very low. I don't know the final approach fix there into runway 33. I haven't looked at it, but
Right.
They were clearly very close to landing, and the helicopter somehow got in the way.
Yeah, it did. John, stand by if you would. I want to bring in Armin Kurdi into the conversation.
I mean, folks that are watching right now, do you think there's something, according to this guy's testimony, his experiences with Blackhawks, do you think something weird is going on here? Something's weird? Press 1 if you think this is not just an accident. Press 2 if you think it's an accident. Now that we're into the video, we see someone who knows about Blackhawks, right? And is saying that he's surprised and where it's at and stuff. So that's weird, man. That's weird.
Because Armin is
And it's 2025. It's not like we haven't been attacked already, right?
specialty. We don't have Armin Kurdi, and we'll try to get him back. So John, stay with us if you would. But
Sure.
But we are now hearing, John, that from the NBC affiliate, and again, we have not independently verified this, that 4 people were pulled from the water after the collision.
All right, we got
Reagan Airport.
4 people
And
pulled
again,
from the
we
water.
don't know if those people were
Welcome,
on board
Jules.
the aircraft. We don't know if they were on board the helicopter. Right now, it's just unknown. But NBC is reporting that 4 people were pulled from the water after the collision near Washington's Reagan Airport. That in itself, to me, when you see a collision like this midair, is fairly astounding. And we don't know the condition, John. We don't know their condition. We don't know if these people were in fact alive and pulled and rescued. We're still waiting for those details. But the fact that they are saying 4 people pulled from the water versus 4 bodies pulled from the water is somewhat significant. And
that's great news. That's great news. But hopefully they're in good condition. All right. Let me just update you guys. If you just got here, this is Nerd Report. Airline collision. Actually, let me pull the story.
at least to me, surprising. John?
Yes.
What happened to John? Hold on a second.
Okay. We just lost.
All right.
We lost John Scott. I want to bring in first responder.
I'm getting some
What's going on?
Yeah, when John's phone gets back up, let us know. Let's bring in first responder and former
Military
Phoenix
helicopter
Affairs
has
Officer Jason Beck.
collided
And Jason, are you
with
hearing
jet
anything else
near
about
Washington
this?
Reagan
I mean,
Airport.
they've been very
Reagan
transparent in the early going of this crash. I mean, I've covered plane crashes going all the way back to ValueJet in Florida, way back in the early 90s, where it took days.
Who are the
to get
4
any
people? It could
information out.
be.
They're trying to put information out as quickly as they possibly can, which I think is a good thing.
It could be
It's also
passengers.
very
It could be
disturbing
people from the
for
Black Hawk.
people who are likely at DCA Reagan right now, waiting for their loved ones to arrive and being taken to some private room to be counseled and to be informed of exactly what happened. Jason, what can you tell us?
Trace, that's right. As someone who flew this route the past 18 months when I was wrapping up my career at FBI, I flew into that same terminal, the E terminal, brand new there, just fixed on a regional jet on the same approach. I was coming from Knoxville to DC, and I've flown this route many times, so it's very chilling to see that same aircraft and everything. The good news is the time is of the essence now, and the good news is 32 years ago or 33 when we had the Florida Air crash, we didn't have as good of technology. The first responders had limited equipment. Now we have this these sonar scanners. We have the FLIR and all these advanced technologies that the rescuers, you saw the Fairfax County rescue boats, you saw DC Fire, you saw Arlington. All these departments have the water rescue capabilities. The U.S. Coast Guard also having.
Let me turn it to this is live footage from the actual crash and rescue mission. I'm going to be looking at what else is going on, folks. Hold on a second. I'll update you. So it's basically a passenger plane collides with an Army helicopter. This is in Florida, I believe. ABS data says American, well, allegedly, according to private. Okay, folks, if you hear any updates or see any updates, please cite your source. Okay, this is according to private. Okay, ABS data says the American Airlines plane veered off course 1 minute before the collision. Interesting. Wait, Capital call out. You saw this? I mean, you heard it? It was loud. Were you near this? There's no sound on this video. We're merely looking at the rescue mission right now. Statements given out right now. Okay. Oh, it happened in Washington, D.C. I don't know why the hell I said Florida. Sorry about that, folks. Thank you. I don't understand how this could happen, but I mean, people make mistakes, man. Fox 5 DC says 5 pulled alive. I think they said earlier there was one. Yeah, it's in DC. There was one. 4 pulled alive. You still want to know who was in the plane? Does it have to be someone important necessarily? I mean, if there was someone from Congress, man, I don't know. I don't even want to think that. I mean, with getting the files are being released now and all that stuff. You know what I'm talking about, right, Jules? All the files being released. Yeah. This is one of a Capital call out. Geez, this is one of my nightmares. I'm constantly checking the radar too if I hear a plane that's too low. Yeah, I mean, I don't like flying, folks. No. Yeah, I get what you're saying, Jules, about the files being released. People, long live George Harrison. They're just theories. Nothing. The only thing that's fact is that we have an on-air collision.
These are the facts, okay? Collision, military helicopter versus civilian plane in Washington, D.C., Reagan Airport. 4 or 5 people pulled out. Casualties expected. That's all we could say. That's all that's out there. Yes. That's all that's out there, folks. And what we're looking, that's the only facts we have, okay? Everything else is, just small talk. No, it's okay. Long live George Harrison. All good. All good. When people raise concerns on the chat a lot, like they want to say, what if it's this was that? I will acknowledge it, but I'll also say that there's no proof, Why is my chat saying there's many lives? Well, there's many lives expected to be gone, man. I think that's been reported. You know what? I would love to come back here and say that my title was wrong and there's no one passed. I would love to be wrong. I'll take that. I'll take that. I will definitely take that. All right, let me see if there's any updates here. Any updates? Okay. You guys hear this? The guy talking? Do you guys hear it? Okay, 1 second. Let me get this better for you.
Major airlines fly
CRJ 700 is the name
through
of
their
it.
regional carriers. This one
You
out
guys
of
hear it
Wichita,
now?
Kansas. We know that members of the Kansas congressional delegation have been made aware of what's going on. A lot of them were already in town, at least the Senate side were already in town, and some of them also making their way out here to the crash site and trying to figure out what's happening from there. We
Okay,
also know
let's
that
pass
the
on to the
NTSB trace, the National
briefing.
Transportation Safety Board, will be the one leading this agency, but you can imagine all of the other government agencies.
Okay, it's supposed to be a press briefing right now.
I wound up checking out of my
There is no
hotel
press
early
briefing. Where is it? No press briefing as far as I could tell.
early in the morning. I have a tendency to sleep late, so I didn't want to miss my flight. But something, I can't believe that this is happening. The whole
Or
airport is
coming
shut down.
in,
Is that
and now,
correct?
what's
Yes,
your plan
no flights
with
are
all of this
leaving
going
or
on?
no.
Coming,
All flights
absolutely
are
don't know. I
suspended
don't
right
know
now.
if the flights are delayed and they'll be rescheduled for later tomorrow, or what they're going to wind up doing. I have no idea.
and now, how often do you fly?
Well, I've had
Jules, if you could send me that
volunteer
link, it'd be
teams
cool
in
if it's
Chicago, and
on
I've been back and forth
on,
to
Beat
Chicago on a
Ran.
monthly basis, flying with Southwest
On my phone.
successfully. They do a wonderful job. I really like the airline, and that's what I was planning on doing very early tomorrow morning, and now I just don't know.
And obviously, right now, we don't know, how many survivors there may or may not be, but just, what goes through your head knowing that, there's family members out there wondering what's happening with their loved one.
We have so much going on in this country right now with transition, and I have been at the airport. I was here for the inauguration, and I came to the airport, and I saw the president's plane fly in and out of here. I saw I think it may have been Jeff Bezos and Mark Zuckerberg.
We're gonna have a press briefing. We're gonna be running it, but it has not started yet. It has not started yet. So when that starts, we'll be right here. Thanks, Jules, for sending me that link.
Ladies dropping names, man. Important people run through that airport.
I mean, so this is like, they just left like the other day after being here for the inauguration. You could tell.
Well, Debbie, thank you for speaking with me. They're telling me that I have to send it back into the studio right now. And of course,
Press
when
conference.
a briefing does happen here at Reagan National Airport, we'll bring it live to you right here on air.
You know, at this hour, the information we're getting, again, from authorities is few and far between. Most of it is just thoughts and prayers from the likes of Mayor Muriel Bowser and many other lawmakers at this point. But we're still waiting to get concrete information on what happened.
Yeah, until we have that information and the details and the facts, it's hard. It's hard to even put into words how people are feeling right now. I know that as I look at, I'm getting text messages from people who are from Wichita, who are friends of mine. I fly that path often. I know it very well.
We're about to know some stuff. The press conference is going to start, folks. So make sure to be ready for that. Press conference is about to start.
It is just utter shock.
Yeah.
People are lost for words. What do you do at a time like this if you can't be there on the ground to help out in a situation like this? We do know that we are awaiting that briefing, but I know you mentioned, Jim, Senator Ted Cruz talked about monitoring the situation at DCA and how they will be briefed tomorrow morning. That is what they've been told, is that they are going to be given the very latest information.
Folks, okay, let's go over here. These guys should have it too.
Come from the south to approach, and they take off to the north.
Let me know if the audio's good.
The Potomac River, past Mount Vernon, and then they land here on this very short runway. It is notoriously short compared to other runways in the industry.
Press conference about to start. Let me know if you have the audio's good.
There was a lot of debate about keeping this airport open, and it was mainly because of members of Congress after 9/11. So what happens is they come up here and they would land, and we believe that crash took place somewhere in this region right here. That's why you're seeing.
Also, folks, let me know what country, city, or state you are watching from right now.
30 or 40 minutes ago, we saw a bunch of buses escorted with lights out onto the tarmac, out onto the runways, and the reason was that these were warming buses. We're told that the Washington, D.C. Metro, this is a major stop here, that they've suspended service because the Metro goes up high and just trying to interfere with some of the rescue operations.
So, Real T says F flying. Yeah, I'm not a big flyer, guys. This doesn't help at all either. Do you all like flying? Does this make you hesitant? Let me know. Plus, thank you for shouting out your city, country, and state in the comments. This is Nerd Report. Thank you.
Capitol itself, and further over to the left, the Washington Monument. This is what is remarkable about this scene, the fact that they had so many rescue units out here so quickly trying to understand what happened, where the site was. We were hearing some of the radio transmissions where it sounded like there were two sites. At one point, they talked about how they thought they had very quickly, and this is something I'd heard, they had 60 souls. That's the language that they use, 60 souls in the water. And every so often here, looking off to the left, you will see some of these helicopters, these search and rescue helicopters, come across with these big searchlights, and they reflect off the water. They immediately called for, every fireboat, every sort of waterborne rescue unit that was in the region. Alexandria, Fairfax County, Virginia, going over to the Maryland side. You're right there as
these are the heroes, folks.
Well, they suspended the flights here at Washington, D.C. In fact, our senior congressional producer, Kelly Ferris, she was supposed to fly back in here in just a few minutes. She was down at the House Republican retreat. They were having
there's a lot of political people in that area right now.
Bunch of meetings there.
Oh, there always is.
With House Speaker Mike Johnson, and her flight was diverted to one of the other two airports here in the Washington area, Baltimore Washington Airport, which is pretty far to the north. We also have a statement here, if I can call it up here, from the local congressman from Virginia here. We had Don Beyer had commented earlier, and this is from the two senators. This is from Mark Warner, the Democratic senator from Virginia, who lives very close here in Alexandria. He says, I'm closely monitoring the situation at DCA. That's the abbreviation of this airport. And my office is in touch with the officials. My thoughts are with all the victims and first responders as they address this concerning and tragic incident. Tim Kaine, the Democratic senator from Virginia, says, I'm closely monitoring the reports of the collision as we await more information, I'm praying for all involved and the first responders on the scene. The other thing, this has been mentioned several times. It was the middle of January 1982 when the Air Florida plane crashed just short of the 14th Street Bridge. They were taking off to the north. It was a very snowy day here in Washington, D.C. In other words, that's how they were going up. And there were 78 people who died in that tragic plane crash back just a little bit more than 40 years ago. Trace?
Chad Pergam, we'll get back to you in moments. Chad, stand by if you would. We should note here that the military is now confirming there were 3 soldiers on board the Black Hawk helicopter. We do not know, by the way, their condition. We don't know if
3
they
soldiers
survived.
were on board.
And when
the
Chad
Black
talks
Hawk.
about the airplane having 60 people on board, when he says 60 souls, it's an aviation term. It has nothing to do with whether they are alive or dead. It is simply an aviation term that says 60 souls on board. I want to bring in John Scott again. He is the host of the Fox Report, and he's also a licensed pilot. And John, you've been listening to some of the air traffic control recordings. What are you hearing?
Well, it's and I think you alluded to it earlier, Trace, but air traffic control at Reagan National is talking to the helicopter crew. It had a call sign of PAT 25. Now, PAT stands for Priority Air Transport. Fort Belvoir there, where this helicopter was apparently based or flying out of, handles the, as I said in an earlier report, handles the Secretary of Defense flights, handles the Secretary of the Army flights on choppers. So it was a, an Army PAT 25 was the call sign, and the tower is asking him if he sees the regional jet, and tells the pilot of the chopper to go behind the regional jet. And almost as soon as that instruction left his lips, you see the collision. It appears to me, from looking at the flight radar track, that the jet was lined up with runway.
We're getting details now.
33 on final approach, and from the pilot's perspective of that American Airlines jet, everything was probably normal. Mm-hmm. And then you have this terrible accident involving the Army helicopter. Now, I'm not trying to assign blame, but I am saying that the tower was asking the helicopter if he could see the jet, and instructing the helicopter to pass behind the jet, and that didn't happen.
And John, just for
communication error, possibly right now. So according to that guy, we don't know. Heather, whatever. Thank you for that super chat. Thank you, Lewis, for always getting the important stories. I'm trying. I'd rather have fun. I'd rather have some fun stories to share, but we get serious once in a while, and we love to have fun too. But man, this is not a fun one.
For clarity here, we can see in the video, we can see a plane take off. So we know that one was taking off, and the runway apparently was clear at that time. We know that that the flight 5342 had been cleared to land at 400 feet. And so I think you make a good point. The point being that this plane was cleared to land. The runway appeared to be clear, and this pilot likely thought everything was good to go.
Yeah, you would think so. They, especially on a runway like Reagan, which is so busy, it's quite common to send an outbound flight, get them taking off on runway 33 when there's a flight coming in just a couple of miles behind them. And when you're talking jet speeds, when they're landing at 180 miles an hour or something.
Once again, we are waiting for a press conference. Okay. We're waiting for a press conference to start. Please stay here. DEI. Come on, guys, with the DEI. All right. Somebody said it could be a point. We'll see.
That's not a great amount of distance, but you do see that jet take off on what appears to be runway 33 as this American flight is lined up to come in behind them. And then there's this terrible, terrible accident.
Yeah, it really is. John Scott, stand by. You've been invaluable. If you can, we appreciate that. I want to point something out. You can see the timestamp is 10:53 Eastern time right now in the top right-hand part of your screen, this crash happened
No,
at 9
people are
o'clock
not
p.m.,
safe,
so an hour and
unfortunately.
54 minutes ago. It's notable that the water temperature, we're hearing reports, is about 37 degrees. And while I've got Dr. Houman Hamadi here, I think it's a good time to very quickly ask him, Doctor, 37 degrees, and there's talk they pulled four people out of the water. We're not hearing bodies, we're hearing pulled 4 people out of the water. That was the better part of an hour ago. There has got to be a limit on how long, even if you survive the initial
Oxygen.
crash, how long you can survive in that water.
Yeah, Trace, good point about this. Is first of all very tragic. 15 to 20 minutes is generally when hypothermia is expected to set in at that sort of temperature, 37 degrees. However, we have to figure out, think about the fact that these people are maybe in an enclosed aircraft, right? So they're inside of that cabin may still be warmer than 37 degrees. And second, ironically, that cold temperature could actually help them. If they're in a hypoxic environment with low oxygen, that cold temperature can actually cause their oxygen demand to go down by chilling their body organs. So it may actually buy them some time. But at this point, almost 2 hours into it, I really hope that they've managed to get to the inside of that cabin. I mean, these things are survivable, right? These aircraft are built to be able to handle a descent from a couple hundred feet and potentially survive. We know that with that miracle on the Hudson, when Captain Sullenberger, albeit deliberately landed a plane on the Hudson River after getting hit by a bird in the engine, was able to rescue everybody. That said, this was obviously not a planned descent, and they probably hit that water pretty hard. But there's still a chance that this is survivable.
Yeah. That's right. I mean, we are keeping our fingers crossed. We are hoping they.
Once again, the
there are
press
reports
conference
they
is about
pulled
to start.
4
Stay tuned.
people out of the water. We have not yet heard. We know there were 3 soldiers on board the Black Hawk helicopter. We know there were 60 passengers on board the regional jet, and we assume there are 2 crew members or 3 crew members. We haven't gotten exact numbers yet, and we have only been told that 4 people have been pulled out of the water. So it's good information. Dr. Hamadi, stand by.
Once again, plane crashes in Washington with a Black Hawk helicopter, allegedly. 4 or 5 people pulled out of the water so far. So that's what we're dealing with right now. We should get a press conference in a few moments, and we'll have further details. The amount of details, I don't know. But if there was someone important on the plane, we'd probably get that news at during the press conference. I would think they wouldn't hold it till tomorrow. But anyways, let me know what country, city, or state you're watching from in the comments area here on Nerd Report, and keep the conversation going. Let me know what you all think of what is going on here, what you're seeing.
Air traffic controller around the time of the crash. A controller is heard asking the helicopter. He says PAT, meaning Priority Air Transport 25. Do you have the CRJ in sight? Clearly referencing the passenger aircraft. And then lastly, we should point out that they're telling us that 5342, the American Airlines flight number inbound to Reagan, it was at 400 feet, a speed of about 140 miles per hour when it suffered a rapid loss of altitude over the Potomac. That is according to data from its radio transponder. As you hear that and you look at the video, tell me what you think about this.
Yeah, it appears that the plane was south of the airport, landing north. That makes sense with the winds. And as they're descending, they do look like they're below 400 feet visually with the bridge. And after living in DC for 10 years, I'm very familiar with that airport. So that aircraft is descending, and the approach speed's right around 135, 140 knots. The Black Hawk helicopter is a 155 knot aircraft. So it appears it's not quite clear from the video, but what I think is happening is
So you're flying. Anyone in the Washington area? Anyone taking a flight soon? In the chat,
plane is descending,
watching this
on approach, and the Black Hawk
not very encouraging.
Helicopter is behind it. The pilots can't see the aircraft from the cockpit because they can't see behind the aircraft.
Oh boy!
And the aircraft descended down on top of the Black Hawk helicopter. That's what it appears to me. And from the Black Hawk helicopter standpoint, they're looking out in front of them and not necessarily above them. And so this just one aircraft fell down on the other or descended down and hit the top of the helicopter. That's what it looks like to me.
And I think, Ken, it's a good point to make. And when you're talking about a Black Hawk helicopter, and we talked about the fact that you have bowling, joint base bowling on the opposite side of the river from Reagan National Airport. And John Scott was pointing out that they often go in, these Black Hawks refuel, and they're back up in the air. When these Black Hawks take off, and we were in one for several days when we were looking for survivors.
Matthew, you've never flown a plane? Who's never been on a plane, folks? Let me know in the comments.
Take off, they kind of lean forward, Ken, right? They're going up, and while they're getting altitude, the back of the helicopter comes up. They just don't go right off. As soon as they leave the base, they get kind of a forward and a nose down position while they start to rise. Is that a fair assessment?
That's a fair assessment. It looks like the aircraft, though, is straight and level for a while, and they're right at that 400-foot altitude. Flying along the Potomac, and the aircraft was coming in for approach and was also letting down. And it's hard to see right above you when flying the helicopter. So it's almost like a perfect storm, if you will, that the two aircraft were right on top of each other.
Yeah, Ken, stand by if you would for us. We want to kind of reset. We're now at the top of the hour. It is 11 o'clock in the East. It's 8 o'clock here in Los Angeles. You're looking live at your screen.
All right, folks, we're going to get a press conference very soon and stuff like that. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. We will be covering this intensely. I foresee it at least for the next couple days. So go ahead, subscribe to Nerd Report. There's a button on the top right-hand corner. You could just hit the subscribe and join us as we cover this. And the good thing is about this channel is we have a conversation with you. We don't talk at you. And if you have any input, any thoughts, suggestions, or opinions, they are welcome in the comments.
Flight 5342 was from Wichita, Kansas, and landing at Reagan National Airport when we are told that it was struck by a Black Hawk helicopter. We know there were 3 soldiers on board the Black Hawk helicopter. And we should note that we have been told that 4 people were pulled out of the water. The water is 37 degrees. We do not know the condition of the 4 people who were pulled out. That is all we have heard about any potential survivors. And we do not know if they were on the helicopter or if they were on the plane. So we have this situation right now where we don't know what's happening inside Reagan National Airport, meaning we don't know how many families arrived there waiting to pick up their loved ones and are now being taken, as is standard operating procedure, into a room and being informed and being guided on what next steps. You can imagine how horrifying that must be. And you look at the actual scenario of what happened. We've been going over this with,
the press conference has not started.
With our experts here, and I want to bring back in. And first of all, I want to read this statement because the president was advised about this. He just issued a statement. Donald Trump says the following: "I have been fully briefed on the terrible accident which just took place at Reagan National Airport. May God bless their souls. Thank you for the incredible work being done by our first responders. I am monitoring the situation and will provide more details as they arise." And it's also interesting because we got word of this. We got confirmation of this, not from the FAA, not from the NTSB. We got confirmation earlier from Caroline Leavitt, the press secretary, who went on Sean Hannity. And I'm not sure, do we have that soundbite? We can play this.
Oh, check this out. She's great, man. This woman's great.
We want to play what Caroline Leavitt told Sean Hannity.
This is not DEI. This woman's amazing.
The better part of an hour and 10 minutes ago. Watch.
I can confirm that President Trump has been made aware of this situation, and tragically, it appears that a military helicopter collided with a regional jet at DCA Airport right here in Washington, D.C. That's all I can confirm at this point in time, and I can just say that the thoughts and the prayers of the entire Trump administration are with all those that are involved, and we ask the public in this area to please stand by for guidance from law enforcement and allow them to do their jobs as they attempt to save lives right now.
Yeah, Caroline Levitt kind of giving the news to Sean Hannity, and she was, for the most part, spot on.
I'm sorry, folks. My opinion, it feels great to have leadership. It just does. Press 1 if you agree. Subscribe if you agree. It just feels great. Not 100% backing everything they do, but it just feels great to have leadership.
It's interesting because we have gotten a great deal of information from the White House. We've also gotten a lot of information released from the NTSB and the FAA, who are in the process of investigating this. The NTSB, of course, will.
It just feels like there's someone there, right? Even though I don't care if they may not care about us, but it just feels great to have leadership in America. I don't know. Just my opinion.
Will take the lead.
Hit 1 if you agree.
I want to bring back in aviation analyst and commercial pilot Ken Christensen. He's also a former crash investigator for NASA. And Ken, we kind of went over the scenario here, the speed that the CRJ 700 was coming in at, which was 140 miles an hour at 400 feet. So it doesn't really leave, or does it? You tell me, if they did, for some reason, see this helicopter, is there a lot of room to maneuver? Is there time to maneuver, in your opinion? What do you make of the final crash scenario?
Trace, at that altitude, 400 feet, and at the airspeed, the aircraft, the American Airlines aircraft, is not extremely maneuverable, and you don't want to be making large pitch changes or large directional changes at that speed. Their pilot's eyes were on the runway, and
thanks, Snork Y2K with a super chat 1. It feels great to have leadership. Hit the 1.
They were descending down on the helicopter, so they were really not in a good position to get visual on the helicopter. The helicopter was appeared to be underneath the aircraft, flying straight, and so the helicopter crew would have been having to look straight up to see that aircraft coming down. And so they would have had a good look at that until it was way too late and way close. The aircraft would be on an instrument flight plan. And so ATC is.
By the way, that reminds me, folks, do me a favor. Subscribe to Rumble, Nerd Report on Rumble. Yeah, this platform doesn't like my opinion. So please do me a favor. All right. Subscribe to Rumble. I'm going to drop the link in a bit. Nerd Report on Rumble
is providing separation. They would already have checked in with tower, been configured, gear down, flaps down, and ready to land. And the ATC, or the tower, would have been communicating also with that helicopter. The helicopter's primary responsibility to keep traffic separation would be to talk with the tower and get visual on that aircraft via the tower. And the helicopter would have to provide separation between them and the aircraft, because the IFR aircraft would have had priority over the VFR helicopter flying down there.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, Ken, if you look at this where you have Joint Base Bowling on the opposite side of Reagan National Airport, and you talk about the tower would have both the helicopter, the Black Hawk helicopter, as well as the jet in their purview, and we wonder, would they also be speaking to the military?
Some people are assuming it's a traffic controller's fault, but I would wait till the press conference and more evidence is out there. I don't want to jump on anyone, but it's, if you have an assumption, these are people's opinions. I think it's fair game to talk about it, but I think as of right now, it's not set in stone. There's a lot of confusion. Jeffrey Crownswell, thank you so much for that super chat donation support for Nerd Report. Also, I dropped the Rumble link in the comment.
Typical tower communication would be talking to the helicopter and pointing out where the traffic is to give the helicopter a heads up, and they have to acquire it visually. But because of the close proximity on where they hit, just timing what it is, the aircraft was actually right over the helicopter probably, and they couldn't see it. And so they continued their flight path, they were probably looking for the helicopter, but it was directly overhead. So if you look straight up overhead, you have your instrument panel, and you can't look through your instrument panel through the rotor system to see the aircraft right on top of you. So it was just a horrible misfortune here.
Yeah, you talk about IFR and VFR, you're talking visual flight, and then you go with the instrument flight. And so it brings up a good point, which is that the weather, we checked the weather around the time of the incident, was not out of the ordinary. I mean, Reagan National reported clear skies, visibility of 10 miles, winds sustained 16 miles
Once again, we're still waiting for the press conference. It should start at any time now.
per hour. Nothing interesting or out of the ordinary there. Gusting to 26 miles per hour. Again, certainly not unusual. And the temperature was 50 degrees. So weather does not play any impact, it appears, Ken, at all in what we are seeing on the screen.
That's a good point, Trace, and that's correct. And just because the aircraft is on an instrument flight plan doesn't mean they have to be in the weather. They just have priority handling for landing at the airport. So they were clear to land or approaching clear to land from the tower. And so ATC is responsible for providing separation from other aircraft. However, a aircraft flying under visual flight rules, VFR, that would be the helicopter, their primary responsibility is to provide their own visual separation from that instrument flight rule aircraft, being the American jet. So again, just because of the close proximity and how the timing worked out, the aircraft was descending. They cannot look, the aircraft, the crew in the aircraft cannot look underneath the aircraft or behind the aircraft. They only can look out their windscreen. And so that helicopter would not have
shifts. It's a tough job, and it's important. It's what makes that our town go. I mean, this is a main hub, not only for us, but also for the nation.
Where the Black
so,
Ops
you have to
there?
imagine
Good question.
there are
Well,
so
I
many
guess
people right now
Washington
that
military
don't even know what they can do. As we all sit here and wait for answers to find out. More numbers are coming in, obviously, but still, the information that we really want, the information that so many of us need right now is, who is okay? Were they able
If anyone
to,
passed away, it looks
do
like there are people who are
rescues?
passed, but we're going to get the press
What's going to
conference
be the
soon.
next step here?
There's a
at
lot.
this point,
There's a lot. And again, we're still waiting at this hour for a briefing where we're going to get more information. And you imagine in situations like this, they want to get everything. They want to get everything correct and everything accurate, because we've had situations like this. There have been plane crashes where you hear it was headed in one direction when the reality was it was headed in the complete opposite. In times like these,
Who was in the plane?
This
We
is a
don't
situation
know.
where we have to. It's incumbent upon everybody to make sure the information gets through. And as we talked with flight expert Captain Richard Levy earlier, he thinks that an investigation into this should be pretty straightforward because you have the data recorder, you have the black boxes on board. There have been flight crash investigations in the past that have taken years to complete. There was one back in 1994. It was U.S. Airways Flight 427 that was landing.
I mean, I would think we would know of more. The plane takes 60 people, right? So was it full? Was it the plane full of passengers? 60 passengers? Were there? The max is 60 passengers, 4 crew and members. But was it a packed airplane? It was. Well, unfortunately, I would think that we would hear of more recoveries of people if they were alive. I hate to put it that way, but
if we're able to talk with the captain again. Captain Levy again, to talk to him about, a lot of times those commercial airliners, they have a system in place. It's a traffic collision communication system of some sort, which actually alerts the pilot to avoid, in the cockpit, alerts the pilot to avoid nearby aircrafts. And whether or not that there was not enough time.
Right.
I mean, it seemed like it all happened rather quickly.
I want to point this out right now. I know if you're watching us in D.C., it may be one thing. If you're watching us on a live stream elsewhere, We just got a report from American Airlines, and what I want to do is if
Okay, we got a report from American Airlines.
I'll read the number out loud here, but if you believe you may have had loved ones on board flight 5342, call American Airlines, and they put out a number 1-800-679-8215. Although I would imagine, it's entirely possible. Again, with this flight landing from Wichita here into DC. But again, American Airlines now is sharing this information. They're now calling it an accident as opposed to an incident early on. And I realize
so this is being called an accident.
In times like these, they're trying to make sure the information that gets out there is accurate and not speculative.
Yeah, after confirming that
it's being called an accident,
and 4
folks.
crew members were on board their plane that crashed in that midair collision earlier, just before 9 o'clock. They also went on to say that their concern at this moment is for the passengers and the crew that were on board, and that they are in contact with authorities. They're assisting with emergency response efforts at this point, and now offering this phone number, 1-800-679-8215, to those who might have someone who was on the flight or know someone, or you're just trying to get information about it. So again, that number, 800-679-8215.
What I'm trying to do is, and I don't know if we have any of this information. We've not seen it come in terms of flights that may have been diverted, because there were a number of flights that were supposed to land at Reagan National and cannot at this point. As mentioned, inbound flights are being
Could be an error
until Thursday at 5 a.m. But you got to imagine that there's a good possibility there were planes that were en route to Reagan National, because Metro, just within the last half hour or so, said that they are extending Silver Line service out towards Dulles Airport tonight to assist if anybody has had to divert to Dulles. But we don't have any specific examples, but you can imagine that in a situation like this, the GM of WMATA, Randy Clark, certainly may have been given information that would necessitate keeping the transit system open for some time.
Here's a better image of the rescue. Still waiting for the press conference to start. We'll have it as soon as it's done. As soon as it's on. Yeah, good question. Why did they end up so close? Did the plane go down in the water? It does seem like it. Again, I don't know, but it does seem like it. Maybe they had bad communication, but still don't believe that for need of human error. No, I can't. ABC reporting the conversation with the Blackhawk. They say they saw regional jet told to stay clear, but (11:30) briefing. We got it here. Yeah, they're getting all the information ready. What's up, Jean-Claude? Thank you, Jean-Claude. I get some stuff wrong though too, man, but I'll come back and say it. Thanks for supporting though. We're not perfect. That's right. 10 minutes before the press conference starts. Plane split in half according to Newsmax. We'll see right now. Why am I on the wrong network? Love me, but I'm on the wrong network. Why do you say that? I don't get it. Love you too, though, Kathleen. What's going on here? Thank you. Yeah, all flights are canceled. Yeah, what network? We don't need fake news. Tink says, that's right. Still waiting for the press conference. Hey, get me a White House press pass. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to tweet at them so they know I'm cool. Could you all do me a favor and join me on X? And you know what? Let's make this channel massive. I'm going to try to go into the White House I want to do press inside the White House. You guys down? Do you want me to go inside the White House and ask the questions? Do me a favor. Subscribe right now. I'm not on Blue Sky. Somebody's imitating me there. They're took my identity. So I want to be in the press conference at the White House. So if you guys support that, do me a solid and subscribe to Nerd Report. I want to be in the White House press briefing, one of them. And I'll shout you guys out on behalf of Nerd Report's crew for getting me here. But we got to reach 100K, man. That's the sweet spot. That's a sweet spot. I'll even ask tough questions, man. I'm not gonna fanboy. Thanks, nerd, but I will just turn my TV on. What are you talking about? See, that's the thing. People don't want to support. She'll just turn off. You know, you can watch us on TV, right? Instead of supporting small Laura, listen, I don't know what you mean, but if you're saying I'd rather turn on the TV and watch mainstream media instead of giving a small independent content creator a chance to go up there, that's part of the problem. Don't complain when they lie to you. Watching here because you don't trust TV networks. Hey, good morning, UFO. Let me get the X. I'm asking you to follow me on X. The bigger I am, the bigger Nerd Report is. Let me get the. Here. Phase 1 to get to the White House press briefing. All right. We need you to follow on X. We need to get the X big. Okay. That's phase 1. So I'm going to drop the link in the comments. Follow on X. Nerd Lecca right there. Follow me on X. That's phase 1. I dropped the link in the comments. If you want to get me on, they'll take me more serious if I have 100,000 subs. So you gotta get me to 100,000 subs, and I think they'll look at it more because that's rare, 100,000. So do me a solid, subscribe right now, and then I'll apply for the White House press briefings. Good point. Thank you for subbing, Flower. Did I see the website? Is there a website to request a press pass? You know what? I'll do that after this live. That's the way it is. I know you're saying you don't even support your own. Nah, that's the way it is, man. That's the way it is. It's all good. When I get to the White House and I do, I'm part of the press briefing because of you all. It's our victory, man. It's our victory. Do me a favor, folks. Tag me with that on X. Tag me with the link. To subscribe or send me a private message. All right, we're waiting for the press conference to start. We're looking at a rescue mission right now. Wait, the January 14th, 1982 incident with that plane. Was it at
Air
the
traffic controllers asked the arriving commercial
Same
jet
river?
if it could land.
That's crazy.
On the shorter runway, as you were saying.
I remember that.
Jim, we're in Navy Yard. Just to set the scene for you here, that's Nats Park behind me. If you look over here, this is the Frederick Douglass Memorial Bridge. And then if you follow me in this direction, this appears to be one of what I imagine is several staging areas for emergency personnel. DC police have a helipad down here, and some people that we were just talking to have been here longer than we have, said they saw a DC police helicopter land here. We also earlier crossed over the Frederick Douglass Memorial Bridge, and it appears as though there's a dock. This may be a place where they're getting some boats into the water. It's difficult to tell.
Should be getting a press
So much of it is
conference in
shut
2
down,
minutes.
but as you can see behind me, there's a lot of emergency personnel. As far as traffic goes in this area,
All right, folks. Let me press conference in 2 minutes. Let me get it here. It's getting ready for the press conference. We should be getting more details. And I'm sure we're not going to get everything today. We'll probably start to get more trickling in for tomorrow and stuff. But if there was someone, well, everyone's important, but if there was someone that has something to do with the government or anything like that, I think we'd find out right now. Could you guys hear this?
You know, the pilots obviously said that they could land on 3-3. That means
Is that right?
turning their nose a little bit to the right, or I'm sorry, to the left, and you know, coming in about 40 degrees off from where they had in.
So if there was someone, anything to
if they
do
were a
with
few miles out, apparently.
anyone big, like well known, we'll know.
Ended up in the middle of all this. That's going to be for the NTSB to decide.
Yeah, and we've just got some new information about the helicopter. This is from the Army. It's saying that we can confirm the aircraft involved in tonight's incident was an Army UH-60 helicopter from Bravo Company, 12th Aviation Battalion, out of Davison Army Airfield, Fort Belvoir, during a training flight. We are working with local officials and will provide additional information once it becomes available. And of course, everybody's going to look at the words training flight, and a lot is going to be made out of that.
Not
it doesn't
good.
necessarily mean that an unexperienced pilot was at the controls at the time, John Scott.
No, of course not. And, they have to go through frequency checks, get every 6 months or something.
Yeah, but training means they're training.
Proficiency checks.
Right?
With, a check
Training
pilot.
means
So I'm
they're training.
guessing that there would have been, the Army says there were 3 soldiers on board. I'm guessing there was a pilot and a co-pilot, and then sitting sort of behind and between them would have been a check airman who was making sure.
Why would you call it training if it does not it doesn't involve people learning how to do something, right?
They may find that was part of what led to this accident. Perhaps, the 2 pilots are so worried about or so, occupied with trying to do the right thing, that maybe they didn't spot the plane when they should have. The rule in aviation is aviate, navigate, communicate. So whatever you're doing, you're supposed to fly your aircraft first and worry about everything else second and third.
John Scott, if you get new information, we will go back to you immediately. Thank you for your time and your analysis. We appreciate it. I want to go back to the senior congressional correspondent, Chad Pergram, who happens to be live near Reagan National Airport covering this story. Again, it's all hands on deck for everybody. Chad, there's word that you can see part of the fuselage of the plane. What can you tell us?
Let me kind of orient you where we are right now. If you're here and you're approaching the runway from the south, which is where this plane from Wichita was coming, if you fly into Reagan National Airport, what you start to see out into the water is almost a pier with a bunch of lights. This is kind of an extension of a landing strip, when you fly into a larger airport that has.
Right. Still no press conference.
Half hours after the collision, we don't have any clear picture if anybody survived. We've been hearing reports, and right now we've talked with a passenger, somebody who is standing by at Reagan National Airport, which, by the way, is closed. All inbound flights being held until at least 5 a.m. Let's take a listen.
So we got boarded onto the plane, and maybe 20 minutes later, a crew member came in and said that there had been an issue, and we're gonna have the airport is closed, and it probably will be closed for at least the next 2 hours. And they wanted everybody to deboard the plane. We waited to see what would change, and later they let us know that the airport was closed for the rest of the night, and maybe tomorrow as well. They also let us know.
Yeah, that's if they close tomorrow as well, then that means something else is going on.
Helicopter that crashed with a plane, but we didn't really hear too many details from that. And it's kind of different than what I've been hearing on this.
2 days of closing the airports. It's
When you were on the plane, you said you looked out the window. What did you see?
I saw about probably like along the river, a little further out from the airport. You can see 2, 3, maybe 4 blocks of just lights all the way down.
Does this worry you since you were on a plane when this all goes down?
It worried me quite a bit. And my wife was really concerned, and she's like, you should just get out of that airport, go somewhere, stay at a hotel, and leave from another airport tomorrow.
Exactly.
A lot of people are in that situation tonight where they were on a plane or else they were on the way into.
Or like if that happened and I was in that airport, I'd probably just call Uber. How much is the Uber? How much is the Uber? I'll do Uber to Washington to California. Why not? I'll do Uber. How much is it? Oh, only? I'll do that. Okay, we're waiting a press conference. Yeah, folks, I'll apply for the White House press conference stuff. So keep subscribing because when I apply, we'll have the higher numbers of subscribers. So I think that's going to really help. And then I'll go over there. So make sure to hit the subscribe, folks. We're almost at 72,000 subscribers. No, I've been to Charlotte, North Carolina on a plane twice. I've been to Arizona twice on a plane, Seattle, San Francisco on a plane twice. I believe Vegas once. I'm not sure. Oh, Texas. I mean, we just landed and then see, I'm BA Baracus. No, well, I'm just saying, I have flown. I have flown before. The last time I flew was terrible, though. It was from San Francisco to LA, and the turbulence was insane. San Francisco to LA is the worst for me that I've. Still waiting the press conference, folks.
A Sleep Number smart bed is perfect for couples.
Was Biden in either one? No. Was BA? BA doesn't fly now. Yeah, twice to Miami. My mom says I flew twice to Miami. I didn't like it. Still waiting for the press conference, folks.
File free in the app if you didn't use a.
You're waiting for the Fellowship of the Ring? Great movie. Yeah, Mr. T doesn't like those flights, man. We're waiting for the press conference, folks. Please stay tuned. Here's another angle. I guess are those aren't. Oh, look, they're taking people on stretchers. Wow, that's crazy.
Here's another angle. This is just the airport.
Is that they have several metro buses here that have police that are at Bradley Point warm up, but they aren't really being used much because there aren't many police here. Beside that, I mean, it's pretty far away from the airport. Like the airport itself, I got a pretty good view of that. It's very eerily quiet. Like there's all these planes are just sitting at their gates. There's maybe some vehicle traffic on the tarmac, but no taxiing, no takeoffs, no departure. You know, I think that's the only kind of interesting bit I have from my standpoint. I'm a little too far away from the what's going on there. Yep.
Introducing the Onion, the non-lethal self-defense platform.
Yeah, I don't think they have faith in finding too many people, unfortunately. Yeah, the family members must feel like shit right now, dude. Jalissa. They haven't announced anyone else being taken or retrieved. No. Folks, we're still waiting the press conference. Stay tuned. Keep the conversation going in the comments area. If there's is there going to be a press conference or did they cancel it? Does anyone know? Seems like maybe they canceled the press conference. Or is it still going? Press conference still happening? Well, if you miss it, you could always come back. I'll give it a few more minutes. Okay, let's run this a little bit. Yeah, no press conference so far. Police scanners are encrypted now. 8 bodies recovered. Is that confirmed? 64 souls on board doesn't mean they deceased. Apparently, that's like military lingo. I will be covering this as it develops, so make sure to subscribe, folks. Take the moment to subscribe. Top right-hand corner on the top of your screen, hit the subscribe button. If we get 5 more subscribers, it'd be great. I will be covering this story as we go. Probably it's going to continue all the way till tomorrow. And I'll be back tomorrow. Shelly, how you doing? A plane crash in Washington. Let me see if there's more info. Fatalities confirmed after passenger plane crashes with Army Black Hawk, sources say. Fatalities confirmed in mid-air plane helicopter collision, sources say. Oh, this is sad. Man says, I'm just praying that someone pulls her out of the river. Man says his wife was on board the plane that crashed. Black Hawk that collided with plane was on a training flight, officials say. This is all according to CNN right now. Not good. Okay, I'll check it out, Heather. Thank you. Okay, press conference is about to start, folks. We got you. We think.
Point out to those of you referenced the video or the audio. We read the audio. We do not have that to share. Otherwise, we would do so. But I appreciate you sharing it because I think you can tell a lot from the inflections and the tone of voice in situations like that.
Yeah, it definitely adds context to it, sense of urgency. Armand, I want to ask you because, back in 2023, the Metropolitan Washington Airports Authority president had really advocated against...
Hey, hang on one second. Hang on. Okay. So we just got in our ears, and I want to point this out. That helicopter, the
breaking news,
Sikorsky helicopter, the Black Hawk helicopter, was on a training mission when it crashed. Just to share that with everybody. And again, 3 soldiers on board. No idea.
Okay, Fox is saying it was a training mission.
of their condition, nor do we have any clue about the 64 people on board that plane.
And
Go
you can
ahead,
correct me if I'm wrong, but in training missions, I mean, those are routine for them. This is their training area. I mean, it happens quite a bit. You see a lot of helicopters around, and so perhaps a routine training mission, but good information there. But just going back to what the airport authority president said, he advocated against adding more flights, additional flights, said that they were already operating at full capacity, that the main runway here at DCA is the most widely one used. I think 90% of their flights come in and out of it, one of the busiest runways in the nation. And so this is a busy airport. I mean, is there, just in your experience, with what you know, we saw reports leading up to this of near misses and close calls, but valid concern here where we live?
Yeah, folks, I don't think there's a press conference for this. What do you all think? I don't think there's a press conference happening. Yeah, smash the like. Happy to catch it live, but sad. Yeah, exactly, Allison. Thanks for coming on in here. All right, this is what we're going to do, folks. We're going to continue the coverage. We're going to take a break, but subscribe so you don't miss the coverage. All right. It's at 9:30. We'll be back. We'll be back with the press conference for sure. We'll review it or go run it live. So subscribe here so you don't miss it. Nerd Report. All right. Talk to you later. Nerd out.